Excuse me, Oh my god. This and this are only the beginning. When I tell you that I am about to purchase the entire encyclopedia of Assassination's Classroom, you better believe that Brandino ain't lying when I'm talking about the hype. I caught up today. Your boy caught up today. I can't. Assassination's Classroom. I'm going from 166 all the way to 174. Brandino, So where I left off, as we know before, is in the catch-up. The last scene that we saw was Kuro doing his inkjet printer with his fingers to get all the pictures of the students because he knew this was going to be his last time. He was supposed to die in March because they thought he was going to blow up the planet. When they found out he was only just under the 1 percentile of destruction, he was in the clear. But nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants Superman flying around the planet unrestrained. Now, this isn't what we have over here with DC Comics, where people of extraordinary abilities, the government will always try to shut down the extraordinary because of the fear of what it can change. Not, but if you catch my drift. So we come through, it's 166. The gang is now, they got 3 days to figure out a plan of how they're going to get out of this containment facility. And of course, via Nagisa's perceptive abilities, on top of the fact that all of them are highly skilled, they were able to discern from what what Karasuma Sensei encryptedly told them the last time he visited. He was like, you got 3 days. You might as well sit still. Because I don't want you causing any trouble for me. Because the guy out there, the people out there, the top one is about 3 times stronger than I am. So there's a chance that even I can't beat him by myself. He was just dropping hints everywhere. So the team was like, all right. Now this part was slick. And I had to clap it up on the inside because this part was slick. Irina Sensei comes in, my students! Slaps him on the face. And I'm like, damn, do you have to? It's how she introduced herself in the beginning as the seductress assassin. But it's like, do you have to mac down on all the kids? But after she finished with Nagi-san, I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm like, she hooking him up with something. Hold on. And of course, Kata is like, what did she do to you, Nagi-san? What did that bitch? Like, of course, getting jealous of, her man getting macked down. But Nagi-san's like, eh. And then a couple other people are like, eh. Plans, supplies, things. How the hell did she fit all of that in her jaw structure? Number one. Now, the way that I think about it, she either had it under her hair, and when she would reach up, she would go like this, kick it out, grab them, put it in his mouth, and then kiss them, and plant it like that. Or she was storing it in the side of her face, which is you could kind of store paper there. You could kind of store small items and stuff in the side of your face, and you'll still be able to talk. and maneuver things like that. But it's like the hair. I guess if the hair was covering, I'm thinking too deep. It's crazy how stealthy these guys are. But they managed to break out, and now they all went home. And they're packing up their abilities and their supplies, stuff that they're going to need, because they're about to come down on this entire government squad like a pack of wolves in wait. I'm telling you, the wolves! Wolves. The wolves in wait, baby. They are so incredible. And the crazy thing about it was Nagisa's at home, and his mom, how his mom even knew he was in the house, because they are stealthy. They are assassins. How does your mom able to catch? You're an assassin. How did your mom catch you? She must have the hearing of the craziest bat. Elephant times 5,000 to be able to hear that you came in the house. Or she just had a sense. Nagisa's home. She just flies out, but Nagisa thinking he about to get shut down by his mom. His mom grants the blessing. And it's like, okay, so now Nagisa's confidence is risen again. The team starts to execute the plan. And this is around like 166. I mean, not 167, 168. When I tell you these guys is flying through the forest like wind off of the leaves, my man. You didn't even know they were there. And while I was watching it, I'm like, okay, the main squad they got to worry about is Mr. Lion Rip, him, and then his squad, his pack of animals, basically. They came down and took out the guards so swiftly. Now, these are the armed guards, not the trained six, the armed guards that were just scattered around the mountain. And what Karasuma's thinking, like, he's also trying to get an opening so that they can get in and that everybody else can get in the barrier. Because he's like, maybe just by chance, I don't believe it either, but maybe the kids might make it through. So, give me an opening so I could be there to stop them, just in case. And of course, Douchey McDouche in the government, he's like, it's not like those stupid kids are great. You even said it yourself. They're crappy. They're probably... It was lucky they escaped. You know what? Do what you want. Do what you want. And it's like, don't nobody care about you, number one. But number two, how are you not keen to what is even happening around you? And you're a high-ranking official, supposedly? Like, come on, bro. How? Anyway, so the team gets through, and then they get to the squadrons of the 5, top assassins. They're taking these dudes down left and right. And I'm telling you, the one bald one with the eye patch that was popping the most got trashed. And I mean, the part that makes it more embarrassing is because not only that they're kids, they're skilled assassins for kids. But, they just messed with him after that. They left him naked with a whole bunch of different mini childish torture devices just to play with the guy. They were toying with them. And they're like, we completely underestimated them. Like, yes, you did. You're thinking that you guys, which, not to say that you're not skilled, but you're trained to fight people. They have been being trained under a highly superpowered, intelligent, Mach 20 traveling creature for a year now. And you don't think that their skill is at some type of level that peaks anything in your government range? Come on! So, they got taken down, and they made the mistake of letting their guard drop for like a second. And, of course, because I keep forgetting his name, but the Condor, I think that was part of his name. He comes in flying and takes out one of the people, and is like, all I have to do is remove these glasses. And he's talking about this whole backstory about how when he was younger and since he was young, it was always his on and off switch. When he took off the glasses, the beast was out. Everybody was dying. When he put on the glasses, he was calm. The beast was in the cage, but the beast could still claw at you, if you know what I'm saying. It could still reach you. It could still pull you in and bite you, but it ain't gonna do too much. But if you take it's out the cage. Forget the bars. We take it over the zoo, baby. But before he gets a chance to actually execute his miraculous ability, the kids are already in. Left and right. Hit and run. Karma's coming in with the strike. They got the shock thing. They got the flashbang. They got the kids flying in with 3 different strikes at the same time. Keeping them back, forth, up, down, back, round. They are hitting him with everything so that even if he's falling backwards and he's trying to regain his step, they're pushing that foot right back up to make sure that he's falling off of his counter. And he couldn't do anything about it. Wrapped him up, electrocuted him, put him down, and put his glasses right back on to make sure that they don't fall off. And he was sitting there like, these kids, I severely underestimated them. Not only did they know that if these glasses came off, they were all dead, they made sure that I couldn't even attempt to take this fight seriously. They made sure, goodness, I've been outmatched. And it's like, oh, yes, the team, the training, the years, the magic. So the kids get in. And of course, they're all saying, like, oh, of course, that's a knife. Like, trying to hit him with the stuff. Of course, he blocking everything. Oh, my students. It was such a beautiful come together. And of course, her name is like Nakamura or something to that extent. The blonde girl is basically Karma's second half. He was like, you were kind of light on your feet. You didn't take too many steps. What are you hiding? And she's like, oh, well, you know, happy birthday, since it is a year since he blew up the moon. Technically not. But, and Cora's sitting there drooling all over the cake, and they're all happy and everything. But one of the chapters ended where it said, after they got in, because a small portion of the barrier is open, and they were like, after they got in, what they didn't know is that 2 new threats came in right after them. And I'm like, no. Not that God of Death wannabe and the maniacal one-eyed scientist himself. Not these 2. Not now. After all that the kids have done, these guys are going to come and snuff out whatever. Sorry, I'm looking at the time. Whatever progress they made, these guys are going to come in and snuff it out. I was so mad. Next chapter comes up. We're around like 71, 72. They're in there. They know they don't got a chance to time to take this guy down. They know it's not going to happen. So Kuro's in there blocking anything that happens. And Mr. God of Death Part 2 bursts out of his sweater and he turns into tentacle form. God of Death. Claws and everything. It's still tentacles, but they're sharpened and it's like everything. So, you know, the scientist guy, he's like, yeah. Oh, I made him twice as good as you. His starting speed, just him lifting his hand, is Mach 2. That's his starting velocity. His cap is Mach 40. How are you traveling that fast to begin with? Let alone. But it's not even that. The fact that your starting speed is already Mach 2, you're already traveling 14,000 miles an hour with just one swing. Your swing is traveling twice the speed of sound. Sonic booms everywhere. Come on. Anyway, so Kuro, of course, is trying to defend the kids, and you know he's trying to make sure the kids understand, like. And the crazy thing about the comic, about how they're wording the comic right now, and I'm thinking it's just. The crazy part about Japan is they're very knowledgeable, even though their culture, this is just me talking from what I've learned from life or from what I've heard. I remember hearing that their culture is kind of closed off. So whatever ideals that they have about the outside of Japan, not like it's outlandish, but they don't really know too much about the outside. So they like a few things. If they reach out there, they'll kind of culminate against a few things, but they're still kind of closed in. Even though they're more open to like other countries and they like it and everything else, but still the idea that they're only going off of the knowledge that was presented to them. And the crazy thing about some of these comics, some of the comics that I've read, in Japan, they know that society basically works against anybody who's trying to make some form of progress. And the only problem is some forms of progress really hurts people. Some forms of progress could really help someone. But the only problem is the in-between is what the society doesn't appreciate and will automatically oust when it happens. Because they don't want that in-between of there might be collateral. They don't want that. So they're automatically going to shut it down. And what Kuro is saying, like, in life, there's going to be a lot of times when you're going to hit a roadblock where you know for a fact that everyone is basically like this. You're in a boardroom pitching something that literally helps stop cancer. And everyone in that boardroom hears you. But for some reason, they just don't want to do it. Like, it's like that little thing of like, are you legitimately trying to be an ass, or are you just blatantly retarded? Not against retarded people, but if you understand what I'm saying, it's like that thing of, how come you can't allow this change to happen? And Cora was trying to break down to them, like, this is how life is going to be. And until you get to the point where you can say la vie, this is life, you're not going to be able to get over it. So he's like, you got to let go of that negativity. You got to be able to swim with the current. You got to be able to swim through to your goal, because that's the only way you're going to get there. Because there's going to be so many roadblocks if you try to jump out the ocean and try to walk on land. So many. But after all of that little wisdom and everything dropped, God of Death Part 2 was sitting there trying to do some crazy attacks. Koro's blocking him. And then Koro's like, and then there's also some times where you can't face all your battles head on. But there will be a point when you must face it with everything you've got, because there is no other option. And I was hyped because this was like 171, 172, and Koro basically said, I can't hold back no more. It's time to turn to Mach 20, baby. I was ready. Dragon Ball Z all day. They was ricocheting off of the walls of this barrier ridiculously. Every hit, they said it in the chapter, every hit was like a sonic boom. Every attack created a sonic boom. They were traveling so fast. I was like, oh, the battle! And I expect that the people who are making the actual anime version of the show, I think they're going to have a season 2 coming soon. When they get to this arc, they better be on that Saitama greatness, because I expect it to be close to One Punch, because my man Kuro is traveling way too fast for you to be able to not animate that beautifully. All it takes is a nice fade out, a nice gust of wind to show that dust, that pocket of pop in the air when you create a sonic boom from breaking the sound. All you need is that. That's all you need. But you just need to make it look good. But back to the chapter. I'm so hyped right now. So they're fighting. And of course the doctor, Kaeda, is sitting there on the side like, just like always, you're always sitting at the top laughing at everyone's pain. And he's like, oh no. Oh, I used to do that a lot. But I'm not going to do that now. As long as I place the tentacles within me, I will be able to control my body and still have the strength of one of these organisms. And I'm like, no, not 2 against 1. Koro ain't there. And he's got the children to protect. So it's like, oh my God, it's so much. The number 2, God of Death Part 2, sitting there shooting these. Now, I'm thinking that he's shooting a beam, but it's literally just him reeling his arms back and forcing like a knife point to try to kill all of the students basically behind Kuro Sensei. And when Kuro started doing, after they had their little Dragon Ball Z moment, he started taking the blow. He started eating the blow and making sure that even if they go to the sides, he's grabbing those out of the sides, grabbing them all together and eating the blow. Just so that his students don't get hurt. And they're like, Koro, no! So Kaede steps in. Now she had, on the low, she had a little bit of tentacle juice left. And she shot one at the God of Death Part 2 because she's like, stop! I'm not going to allow this! And I'm like, no, no. Don't give your life. You don't have your tentacles anymore. You can't step up to this guy. He is towering over Koro already, and his power is twice as fast. You should not be there. And she's just doing the typical thing that just be bringing tears to my eyes, man, when they just do the look back. I'll see you guys later. Like, oh, come on, don't die. Like, don't give me the laughing smile like the times were good. Don't give me that shit. I don't want you to die. So, Kaede takes the blow. Now if you know I've been spoiling everything, but come on. Kaede takes the blow, full stomach. I'm talking about chunk out of her body, tentacle through, piercing and bringing her back down to the ground. Drop. This is when I knew that this smile was about to turn right the fuck upside down. That is when I knew that it was over. It was over. It was over. I knew it. Because not only did he lose Kaede's sister, which he loved, to something like this, being destroyed, but now he loses the girl, one of his precious students. The darkness came in. You would have thought these guys were charging up and getting ready to turn Super Saiyan. I'm sorry that I'm using so many Dragon Ball Z puns, but come on, Dragon Ball Z was literally the staple of the power-up. It is literally not the only show, but it is literally the main show in mainstream that enhances the power-up. No other show can power up and not look like Dragon Ball Z. No other show. Dragon Ball Z set the bar. Everything is Dragon Ball Z now. But look, he charged up the darkness. And you're looking at him and you're like, oh, Koro's in death mode. God of Death 2, you strong. You are strong, God of Death 2, but yo, Koro's in death mode. I might have to leave, bro. I'm about to get the fuck out of there because I ain't messing with no Koro in death mode. That is a wrap. If you messing with Koro in death mode, you must have a death wish because he is not messing around. He ain't playing no games. So, Koro goes in, and you see the God of Death Part 2 basically charging up like this final like blade drill tentacle thing getting ready. And Koro is sitting there like just steaming. So then as God of Death is flying in, all of a sudden this bright light comes out. And they're like, okay, did Koro turn back to white? And then like the scientist is like peeking through the shine. And he's like, no, his tentacles are still pitch black. How is he still? So then what was happening at the exact moment, which this would look really cool in animation, and it would be a better rainbow version of a character using rainbow power to like overcome some darkness than they did in Toriko. Fuck whoever said that shit was good. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about whoever greenlit that episode that destroyed Toriko entirely. F you. You messed up an entire franchise. Thank you. Thank you so much for knifing all the way through my dreams. But anyway, so he goes through all of the ranges of emotions. So he's hitting like his blue mode, his green, I'm right mode, his normal yellow, his red X, his purple X, his like red circle, his white for him confused, his blue for his scared, his pink for his tired. He's going through all of his pigmentations, and basically he's acting like a prism. And if you know anything about light and science, white light is merely a prism of every version of color. All colors that we see mixed together in a light form creates white. If it was on paint or pigment, all colors would make black. But that's color theory, and that's science. Anyway, so he basically charged up this emotion cannon out of like the center of his body and eviscerates. I had to think of the deepest, because I wanted to say obliterate, annihilate, but eviscerate just sounds so much more. Eviscerated them. Oh my God, the beam. It was like destruction. Like, it was just so much beam, basically. I'm firing my laser, bra. You know, it was crazy. And he flies through, he takes out God of Death. I'm talking about, like, once again, Dragon Ball Z. Any Dragon Ball Z villain that gets destroyed by a Kamehameha and they just get vaporized. Basically that. And then the doctor guy gets blown back by the shockwave. And, of course, he has some of the tentacle stuff in him. So I don't know if him going through the barrier was killing him, or if the tentacle stuff ran out and he managed to go through because of his human blood. I don't know what happened there. But basically right now, at the end of 174, Koro just finished both of them. But we don't know if they're dead. All we saw was the